You know that feeling when you're in a room full of people, laughing and talking, and yet you've never felt more alone? It's not the solitude of an empty house, but the profound isolation of being the only one who seems to notice the performance. Everyone is playing their part, you included, reciting lines from a script no one admits is there. You smile when you're supposed to, you nod in the right places, but inside, a quiet voice whispers that none of it is real. This isn't about being an outsider. It's about seeing the masks everyone wears, including your own, and feeling the crushing weight of that knowledge. What if this loneliness isn't a flaw in you, but a symptom of seeing too clearly? What if the very thing that makes you feel disconnected is actually a glimpse into a deeper truth about how we all live? Today, we're going to explore the silent prison of social perception, the unconscious roles we are forced to play from childhood, and why understanding this performance might be the first step toward a more genuine connection, not with others, but with the hidden parts of yourself. You go through your days performing these small rituals of connection. You ask people how they are, and they say fine, and you say you're fine too, even when you're not. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny, you agree with opinions you don't share, you pretend to be interested in conversations that feel hollow. It's not that you're being dishonest, it's that you've learned this is the currency of belonging. This is the price of admission into the group, into the family, into the workplace. You smooth your edges, you hide your uncertainties, you present a version of yourself that is palatable, manageable, unthreatening. And for a while, it works. You feel the comfort of fitting in, the safety of being like everyone else. But then there are moments, a flicker of insincerity in a friend's eye, the hollow echo of a corporate mantra, the way a family gathering feels like a stage play where everyone has memorized their lines, when the facade cracks. And in that crack, you see it. You see the performance. And you realize you are not just an actor in the play, but you are also the only one in the audience, watching it all unfold with a quiet, devastating clarity. This is the loneliness of the perceiver, the one who sees the strings while everyone else is busy moving the puppets. It starts to wear on you. The energy it takes to maintain your own character while simultaneously seeing through everyone else's becomes a heavy, invisible burden. You start to wonder if you're the only one who feels this way, or if everyone else is just better at ignoring the quiet hum of inauthenticity that underpins every interaction. This burden you carry, this weight of perception, did not appear overnight. It has roots. Deep, quiet roots that go back to the earliest stages of your life. Think back, not to a specific memory, but to a feeling. The feeling of being a child and learning, for the first time, that certain feelings were not welcome. That a tantrum was met with anger or withdrawal. That tears of sadness were shushed with a hurried "don't cry." That your genuine, unfiltered excitement was too loud, too messy, too much. You learned, through 1,000 subtle moments, that to be loved, to be accepted, to be safe, you had to manage the emotions of the adults around you. You had to become a smaller, quieter, less complicated version of yourself. Your first mask was not a choice. It was a necessity for survival in the emotional ecosystem of your family. This is where the performance began, not as a conscious decision to be fake, but as an unconscious adaptation to secure the love and connection you desperately needed. Freud pointed to this early stage as the cradle of our inner conflicts, the raw, honest desires of the child to express anger, need, love, jealousy, are met with the outside world's rules and limitations. To navigate this, a part of the mind learns to hide these unacceptable impulses away into the unconscious. But they don't disappear. They become the invisible director of the play, whispering your lines from the shadows. You learned that authenticity was risky, that your true self might be too demanding, too fragile, too strange. So you built a character, a social self that knew how to please, how to conform, how to avoid causing a scene. And you became so good at it that you almost forgot it was a performance. Until now. Now, as an adult, you see that same mechanism operating in everyone around you. You recognize the placating smile, the defensive joke, the carefully constructed persona, because you build your own from the same blueprint of childhood fear. The loneliness you feel in a crowd is the loneliness of that child who first learned to hide, now seeing its own reflection in the masked faces of the entire world. And so the performance continues, year after year, until the mask no longer feels like something you wear, but like your own skin. You wake up, you become the character, you say the lines. You go to work and become the reliable employee. You meet friends and become the agreeable companion. You go home to your family and become the dutiful child, the responsible parent, the understanding partner. Each role requires a different costume, a different script. And for a while, it seems to work. The world rewards you for this. You get promotions for being compliant. You get invitations for being pleasant. You get praise for being easy to be around. But the cost of this is a slow, quiet erosion of the self. The parts of you that don't fit the script, the messy emotions, the unconventional thoughts, the raw and unfiltered reactions are pushed down, silenced, locked away in a basement of your own mind. You think you have them under control. You believe you are managing everything perfectly. But the unconscious does not like to be ignored. It is a pressure cooker. And one day, something small happens. A minor criticism from your boss. A casual, forgetful remark from a loved one. A plan that gets canceled. And instead of the measured, appropriate response your character is supposed to deliver, something else erupts. A wave of rage that feels 10 times too big for the situation. A plunge into a sadness so deep it seems to have no bottom. A cold, withdrawing silence that you cannot explain. This is the collapse. This is the moment the actor breaks character. The carefully constructed persona shatters, and what comes out is all the raw, unprocessed material you've been repressing for years, maybe for decades. It's not really about the canceled plan or the critical remark. It's about every time you smiled when you wanted to scream. It's about every time you said, "I'm fine," when you were drowning. It's the accumulated weight of all the performances finally becoming too heavy to carry. The people around you are confused. They don't understand why you're reacting so strongly. They tell you to calm down, to get over it, that it's not a big deal. And this only deepens the isolation. Because now you are not only alone in seeing the performance, you are also alone in your breakdown. Your genuine human reaction is seen as a flaw, a glitch in the system, while the constant, draining performance is seen as normal. This is the price of the mask. It doesn't just hide you from others, it eventually hides you from yourself, until the real you has to scream to be heard. But what if this breakdown is not a failure? What if this eruption of feeling, as painful and confusing as it is actually a moment of profound clarity? This is the point of understanding. The moment you stop fighting the collapse and start listening to it. That rage, that bottomless sadness, that withdrawing silence, they are not your enemies. They are messengers. They are the voices of the parts of you that you had to silence long ago, finally demanding to be heard. They are the truth of your experience, rising from the unconscious where you buried it. When you feel that overwhelming reaction to a small event, it is never really about that event. It is a key turning in a lock, opening a door to an older, deeper room inside you. A room where a child still sits, holding all the feelings that were never allowed to be felt. The loneliness you carry in crowded rooms is not a curse of perception. It is the echo of that child's loneliness. The feeling of being unseen, of having to perform for love, is the original wound. And now, as an adult, you are simply more aware of the mechanism. You see the mask, because you were the one who first had to craft it for survival. This understanding is the turning point. It is the moment you realize that the problem is not that you see the performance, but that you are still forced to participate in it, even with yourself. The path forward is not about learning to ignore what you see or trying to fit in better. It is about turning that perceptive gaze inward with the same gentle, unforgiving clarity. It is about asking yourself, who would I be if I was not performing? What would I say if I was not reciting a script? What desires have I locked away because they were too messy, too demanding, too real? This is not about blaming your parents or your past. It is about acknowledging the brilliant, necessary adaptations you made as a child to navigate a world you couldn't control. And now, as an adult, you have the power to slowly, carefully begin to rewrite the script. Not to tear off the mask in one violent gesture, but to recognize it as a mask and to decide, moment by moment, when you need to wear it for protection and when you can safely take it off and just breathe. So I want to ask you, in the quiet of your own thoughts, when was the last time you felt a genuine, unedited emotion? Not the one you were supposed to feel, not the one that was convenient or polite, but the raw, messy human feeling that rose up from a place deeper than any performance. If you allow yourself to simply sit with that memory, without judgment, and acknowledge the truth of what was there. If these words have found a home in you, if they've put a name to a feeling you've carried in silence, then this channel is a place for you. Consider liking this video and subscribing. It is a quiet signal that you are not alone in seeing the performance, and that understanding it is the first, most human step towards something real. And this is where the real work begins. Not in changing the world around you, but in changing your relationship to the performance itself. Understanding why you wear the mask is the first step toward having a choice in the matter. For so long, you believed the mask was you. You thought the polite agreement was your opinion. You believed the patient smile was your patience. But now you know it was a survival tactic, a brilliant and necessary invention of a child who needed love and safety. Now, as an adult, you have the capacity to witness this mechanism without being entirely consumed by it. You can start to notice the subtle shift inside you when you move from a genuine feeling to a performed response. You can feel the slight tension in your chest when you are about to say, "It's fine," when it's not. You can observe the quiet retreat of your own voice when you decide it's safer to agree. This awareness is not meant to fill you with shame or to make you reject every social convention. It is meant to give you back your agency. The goal is not to live a life of raw, unfiltered expression at all times. That would be its own kind of performance. The goal is integration. It is to slowly, gently, invite those exiled parts of yourself back from the basement of your unconscious. It is to sit with the child who learned to be quiet and tell them it is safe to feel angry sometimes. It is to acknowledge the part of you that is desperate for approval and offer it your own compassion instead of seeking it endlessly from others. This is a slow, quiet process. It happens in the small moments. It's the next time someone asks how you are, and you pause for just a second, and instead of the automatic "fine," you might say, "It's been a long day," or even just, "I'm okay," but you say it with the inner acknowledgement of what you're truly feeling. It's the moment you choose not to laugh at a joke that cuts you a little, and instead you simply stay quiet. It's the moment you allow a flicker of your own need or your own boundary to be visible, even if it feels terrifying. This is how you begin to rewrite the script, not by throwing it away, but by editing it line by line, making it more your own. You start to build a life where there is more room for you, the real you, to exist alongside the social self. The loneliness doesn't vanish overnight, but it changes. It transforms from a prison of isolation into a quiet space of self-possession. It becomes the very space where you can finally meet yourself. This is the part where you might feel a strange pull, a quiet resistance. Because to look at the mask is one thing, but to consider taking it off, even for a moment, feels like a tremendous risk. What will be left if you are not the agreeable one, the strong one, the one who never causes trouble? Who is the person underneath all those layers of adaptation? This fear is natural. It is the fear of the child who learned that authenticity was dangerous. But you are not that child anymore. Your circumstances have changed, even if the old fears still live inside you. So I want to ask you a simple question, not to force an answer, but to create a small space of honesty in your mind. When was the last time you felt a genuine, unedited emotion? Not the one you were supposed to feel. Not the one that was convenient or polite, but the raw, messy, human feeling that rose up from a place deeper than any performance? Can you allow yourself to simply sit with that memory, without judgment, and acknowledge the truth of what was there? If these words have found a home in you, if they've put a name to a feeling you've carried in silence, then this channel is a place for you. Consider liking this video and subscribing. It is a quiet signal that you are not alone in seeing the performance, and that understanding it is the first, most human step towards something real. And so you begin the delicate work of noticing. You start to see the performance not as a life sentence, but as a habit, a deeply ingrained pattern that you can, with time and patience, begin to loosen. You don't try to destroy the mask in a single dramatic act. That would be just another performance, another role, the rebel, the truth teller, the one who is finally free. Instead, you simply become curious. You watch yourself as you move through your day, and you notice the subtle, almost invisible moments when the character takes the stage. You feel the slight tightening in your throat before you give the expected answer. You notice the small, internal sigh of relief when a social interaction ends and you can finally stop smiling. You observe the way you edit your thoughts before they become words, sanding down the edges to make them more acceptable. This witnessing is not an act of criticism, it is an act of reclamation. It is you, the adult, finally coming back to the child who learned to perform and saying, "I see you. I see what you had to do, and it's safe to rest now." This is how you start to dissolve the loneliness from the inside. It is no longer about being the only one who sees the masks. It becomes about being the one who is finally willing to see what is underneath your own. The performance was a bridge you built to cross the turbulent waters of your early life. And now, you are learning that you can stand on the riverbank without having to cross it every single time. You can just sit by the water and be. So I ask you, in this moment of quiet honesty, what is one small, performed gesture you noticed in yourself today? Not to judge it, but simply to see it, to acknowledge its existence and the old fear that it once served. If this quiet recognition means something to you, if it feels like a door opening just a crack, then you are not alone here. Leave a like if you feel moved to, and subscribe for more conversations like this. It is a way of telling that quiet, perceptive part of yourself that it is welcome here.